Here is Doan Thi Huong. Doan is 28 years old and she comes from a very small agricultural village in Vietnam. But she doesn't like her village very much. She finds it sad and boring. One day, she decides to leave her countryside for the capital, Hanoi. She works various jobs during the day and in the evening she systematically stops by her favorite bar for a drink before going home. One evening, while she is drinking as usual, she meets a man who introduces himself as Mr. Y. To keep it simple. He is handsome, friendly, and seems very confident. He tells her that he works for a Korean media company and makes prank videos. He offers her a chance to become an actress in his videos. Doan can't believe her ears. She has always dreamed of becoming an actress or a singer. Finally, here might be the opportunity of her life. She accepts without hesitation. Mr. Y buys her a plane ticket to Malaysia where the pranks will take place. Doan is not alone. She joins another young girl who is already doing the same thing and is called Siti and comes from Indonesia. The work begins. Mr. Y takes her to the streets, and she has to play pranks on passersby. Sometimes she holds their hand in the street, other times she sneaks up behind them to surprise them. This makes Doan laugh a lot, and she is well paid for it. One day Mr. Y calls Doan. Today she is going to do a prank even more spectacular than usual. Mr. Y arranges to meet her at the airport, and when Doan arrives, she finds that Siti is already there along with a friend of Mr. Y's named Mr. Chang. Usually, Doan and Siti work separately, but today, Mr. Y tells them they are going to work together to prank the same victim. So, the victim of this prank will actually be pranked twice, first by Siti, then by Doan. Mr. Chang pours baby oil on Siti's hands and shows her a man at the airport. He will be the victim of the prank. Without delay, Siti sneaks up behind the man. From behind, she puts her hands over his eyes and says, "Guess who it is," while laughing. And of course, she smears the oil all over his face. About 3 seconds later, it is now Doan who approaches the man, and she also smears her hand on his face. Then Siti and Doan laugh and run to the nearest bathroom to wash their hands. Meanwhile, the poor man, around 40, of Asian appearance, and a bit overweight, is confused and a little scared. He is a man, let's call him Nam. Nam goes to see the airport security agents and tells them that random women just smeared something on his face and since then he has not been feeling well. Security escorts the man to the airport's medical center, and his condition quickly deteriorates. It becomes very quickly evident that something is very wrong. So, they rush him to the hospital, and on the way, he suddenly dies. So, who was this man? Well, Nam is an interesting guy. His mother was a somewhat frivolous actress who, despite being married, decided to have an affair with another man. And this man was not just anyone. He was a dictator, the supreme leader of a small country you might know called North Korea. Nam was born in 1971 from this hidden relationship. He leads a quiet life and almost never has the right to leave the house, until the day he is sent to university in Moscow to learn to speak Russian and French fluently. Now, since Nam is the eldest son, he is first in line to become the next supreme leader. Kim Jong-un, second in line, is 13 years younger than Kim Jong-nam, and at that time, no one imagines that young Kim Jong-un could become a threat to Kim Jong-nam. But one day, Nam travels abroad. He is in Japan, at the airport, and suddenly, boom, he gets arrested. Why? Because he is secretly trying to enter Japan with a fake passport to take his son to visit Disneyland. Once the news of Nam's arrest reaches the ears of his dictator father, he is furious. How could the heir of North Korea be visiting Disneyland? It's not possible. Disneyland represents capitalism, and worse, Disneyland represents America. And America is everything North Korea hates. The dictator is furious. It's over. Kim Jong-nam will never be the heir of North Korea. And when the dictator eventually dies, it is his other son, Nam's half-brother, Kim Jong-un, who becomes the new dictator. And Kim Jong-un hates Nam. As long as he is alive, he represents a risk for Kim Jong-un. Nam lives in exile abroad, but it doesn't matter. Kim Jong-un keeps trying to have him assassinated. And finally, he and his regime come up with this complex plan. They will use 2 random women to kill Nam without them knowing it, and these women end up being Siti and Doan. Do you remember the baby oil that the girl's hands were coated with? It wasn't baby oil. City had on her hands a chemical compound A, and Doan had what we will call chemical compound B. It turns out that when you combine these two compounds, it creates a nerve agent called VX, or venomous agent X, a tasteless and odorless toxic agent banned worldwide because it is so dangerous. It kills you in a few seconds, especially if someone smears it on your face. So, Nam dies that day, right after they touched him. And Mr. Chang, Mr. Y, and all the other men who set this up, well, they are actually North Korean spies. They all flee quickly, and they end up getting away with it. As the fake producers all flee, it leaves the only people linked to the crime, City and Doan. So, City and Doan are in the airport bathroom calmly washing their hands, but when they come out and look around, all the producers have disappeared. Well, City and Doan just say to themselves, okay. And separately, the two women go home. They have no idea that someone has died. About a day later, they are both arrested. And City is so unsuspecting that she even thinks her arrest is part of the prank show. Ha ha. Yeah, right, guys. Of course, I'm arrested, okay. But the Malaysian police arrest them, and the two women are charged with Nam's murder. 8 months later, their trial begins. If City and Doan are found guilty of murder by law, they will be sentenced to death by hanging. So, the stakes are really high. This trial lasts 2 years, and then one day, suddenly, as if out of nowhere, the charges against City are simply dropped, and City is released. Apparently, the Indonesian government intervened to save its citizen and negotiated her release. Doan pleads guilty to a lesser charge, and eventually, they let her go. She arrives in her village, where everyone celebrates her return and is happy to see her. Here is what Doan looks like in real life. And here is what City looks like in real life. That was Doan's story. Hello to all the Doans.